Hello, writers. I've lost my voice, but that won't stop us from doing some really great fiction writing today. So, a lot of you, for your writing, are taking on some very serious social issues. Some of you are even writing with some fantasy elements, and some of you are also trying out mystery, which is super cool. But no matter what genre or subgenre you are writing from, what's always going to be important are your characters, and it always is worthwhile to tend to them at not just the beginning stages of the writing process, but throughout. So this lesson could work for you if you're just starting a draft. It also could work for you too if you've just finished your draft. It's always good to think about our characters, so let's give them a little extra love today. So today what I want to teach you is that writers don't show the character changing at the end. They don't wait until the end. And they also don't just tell the reader how they've changed. They don't say things like the character used to be like this and now they're like this. So instead, the author, the writer, has to work really hard to make sure that the character is changing bit by bit over time. Fiction writers reveal how the character is transformed by major events in the story. Also, sometimes even the other characters in the story, too. So, I want to show you how I do this by first just going back to the story arc. I'm working on my second, actually, it's technically my third draft for fiction. And let me just tell you what is going on in my story because it's always important to have that as the backdrop. So, the story is about a character who's feeling unremarkable the day after her birthday. I kind of leaned into Diamante Ortiz's purple hair as well as Sandra Cisneros' 11. Kind of like took a little bit of what I liked of both of those to make a story. And so it's the day after a birthday. And so the character does something crazy. She pierces her nose. And she does this because she wants attention. She also wants to be recognized. She wants to be more remarkable. And so then it results in her getting in a lot of trouble. And so what I'm stuck with is like the lesson. And I'm also stuck with like how to not overwrite the story just to get to those important moments. So this actually is maybe what I need, which is just to think a little bit now that I've determined the problem, to think a little bit about how that's going to affect the character at every part of the story. Okay, so as I think through each of these major points, I'm going to ask myself, how does blank affect my character? How does this come out through my character's thinking, feeling, action, what they say, and everything else that is possible that a character could show in a story? Okay, so let's go to the beginning. Day after the birthday, feeling unremarkable. And I have a post-it and pen in hand so that I can make some real-time revisions. Okay, so I think in the beginning, one thing that I'm gonna need to make sure that is really clear is the feeling of being unremarkable. But like, why does she do this? Like, why does she make this really big change? Maybe what I have to think about here is like, she's feeling unremarkable. She's in the bathroom getting ready for school, and she's like looking at herself. She's like, nothing's different. So what I could add is like, maybe it's like not only the day after her birthday, but it's like the day after like winter break. So everyone comes back with like, I don't know, wearing something cool that they bought over the break. So that she's feeling unremarkable in that way. So she's maybe like already comparing herself to others. Maybe that makes sense. You know what I think is really missing though? I feel like I feel like what I really want to do is maybe make another character present. I like haven't even really written this part yet, but I think what I could do is maybe even revise the plot a little bit by maybe adding like a sister in the bathroom too. And maybe she's like next to her sister who is super cool and she's like not feeling like she's measuring up. So maybe she's comparing herself to her sister. Okay, so I actually am going to make a revision and I'm going to have to add a sister who's really cool to the beginning. So that will mean like a relationship. Okay. That's helping. And so that might be more of a reason to do what she does. But let me now think too, like her piercing her nose is like still kind of a big jump. So maybe the sister is really cool, but maybe she has like blue hair. I don't know. I'm thinking about Diamante's story. So she has something that makes her stand out. Okay. So then in the bathroom, maybe she is like alone and just feels like the same. And then maybe she sees another character in the bathroom, like fixing her nose piercing. I don't know, something crazy. Sees another character in the bathroom. Again, this is fiction. I'm just kind of making this kind of crazy. And then gets this idea. And then maybe she like, I don't know, steals something from like science class, like a tool to use, or has like a safety pin on her. She's like, do it, I'll pay you. Oh my God. So now the character is like bleeding in the bathroom. Wow, this is getting really interesting. Like bleeding. The other kid in the bathroom is like freaking out. But let me go back to how I show the character being transformed. I've kind of handled like some inner thinking and feeling in the beginning. I've handled some like really rash decision making. But then how is my main character going to react or be changed by maybe the other character bleeding and like her bleeding and the other character freaking out? Maybe it's like the character like inner thinking like internally is like I should feel pain, but I feel like powerful. Kind of a crazy character. And then maybe she gets in so much trouble, but then the story ends up being more about how she is in trouble, but like she doesn't really care because she feels like remarkable. Yeah. So she did something remarkable. Okay. Wow. A lot of changes there. So I hope that helps. So that's one way you can do this. And that's a lot of work. So like if you feel like you're getting stuck, if you feel like you're having trouble getting from the beginning to the climactic moment, this might be worthwhile. But if you feel like you have a stronger sense of your story, you might not need to think through the entire thing. It might just be actually beneficial for you then to put your story on a before and after and like let yourself think like what's the character like before and how can I make them more clear. The character in my story is unremarkable and suffers from low self-esteem. So then after the events, the character learns to take control of her life even if that means making bad decisions. Okay, so what I've now been thinking about is I've been thinking about what I can do to transform my story. So I've actually had to revise my plot to develop the character. I've had to think about what will enhance my character's inner story by changing things around. And I've also started to think about how I'm going to reveal these changes through smaller details, like what the character thinks, says, does, and feels. Okay, so kind of a crazy story, but why not? It's fiction. So I hope this helps you a little bit to either think through your entire story if you're getting stuck, or just have a clearer sense of where your story is headed by doing a before and after shot. Wherever you are, it's always good to think about this and then check in with it as well. As you finish your story, did you make sure that the beginning really showed that before and after? Are you doing enough work in the beginning to show that there is a transformation? So I hope this helps you. It helped me. And I can't wait to see what you all writers do.